Welcome back to the It's Bigger Than Me podcast. I'm your host, Molly Gomez. Big news has hit the Gomez household. If you have not heard or you've not seen that I've shared across social media, my husband, at 31 years of age, he'll be 32 this year in 2026, he enlisted in the U.S. Army. It is big news. So many questions. Why would he do it? Why now? What's the purpose? And there is so many questions and even just emotions I want to unpack on here because the amount of opinions or thought processes for so many people, whether they have been in the military, they have a spouse that's been in the military or retired, or people that just don't know because they don't really know much about it. For me, learning more about it, it is like a whole nother world. I'm almost sometimes overwhelmed by the amount of information that I have to take in to learn what this is all about. But I want to unpack this here because it's so important. Perspective is so important. And just to be raw and honest with yourself. One of the parts that I'm looking forward to diving into to help set somebody else free, but more importantly, just share my part of the story was what was it like when my husband told me he wanted to go into the military? How I dated and almost married somebody who was an Army Ranger and how that blew up in my face. And what God has shown me throughout this process, I'm going to break it all down for you of what led us up to this point and what we're focused on for the future as all of this unfolds. As I'm recording this, within a few days of now, he went off to basic training. So he gets to go into basic training for 4.5 months. He's in Fort Benning, which is in Georgia, and I am staying here in Las Vegas where we live in our home. So we'll be separated for nearly 5 months. Maybe we'll get a call a week to have a few minutes with each other, and that's it. And I will tell you, one of the most challenging parts of all of this is not the fact that he is giving his life to serve our country. It's not that. It's now I no longer get to be with my best friend daily. My best friend, where I have built business with, that is my support system. That is my everything. I mean, we talk about everything, we do everything together. That has been one of the most challenging parts. So it's like, where do we begin with all of this, right? I kind of already gave you a little bit of what's the hardest part for me, but let's unpack this. Let's back up a little bit. So, my husband and I lived in Southern California. That's where we met. That's where we got married. That's where we spent our first 5 years of marriage. And then with his media business, he said, hey, I want to move out to Las Vegas. I have some promising opportunity. Cost of living is way better out there. And I just feel that's where the Lord is leading us. And I've shared this before. I remember saying, no, we're not moving. I'm absolutely not moving. And the Lord grabbed a hold of my heart, said, hey, you've been praying for him to lead. Let him lead. You're going. And I'm like, okay. And I had a ton of emotions with that. As I'm recording this podcast, that was not even a year ago. Maybe, no, wasn't even a year ago, almost a year to this day, but not quite of when we had that conversation. And then plans started to unfold. It was a miracle for us to even come out here based on our situation at the time. We got here. I remember just the business opportunity that was supposed to be super big and promising basically collapsing. And there was a moment of resentment starting to build. Any wives or any spouses have that where your spouse promises one thing, obviously they don't know the future, but then it completely shifts. And so now I'm away from everyone that I know in a new place. What was supposed to bring in provision, stability, and something incredible for our family eventually just dissipated out of just poof, like instantly. And so my husband was trying to find his way. And he just didn't really want to build his media business anymore. He has done it for years. He is incredible at it, but it just was not for him anymore. And he knew that. So he tried the job route. He tried curating other business. And then I remember when he shared with me that he stepped into a recruiting office. And by the time he told me, I found this out way later, he went there about a month prior, but he was like just a little worried to tell me and was thinking through all of the thoughts of, am I going to go through with this before I tell my wife? And I can only imagine how weighty that was. The day he told me, I was like, really? Like, are you serious? Are you serious? Do you really want to do this? Now, we've had a conversation about the military before, but it wasn't anything in depth. And it definitely did not bring me any of like, yeah, sure, go do it. Because why would I want my husband to go and completely blow up our lives and give his life for our country when he didn't really have a plan. Well, the second time around, after he actually went into a recruiter's office, asked a bunch of questions. And for anyone that knows my husband, he asks a lot of questions. There was actually a podcast he was recently on here locally in Vegas where they interviewed him of why now? You've had a successful business, you want to go into the military, why now? And he was saying that in one of his interview clips that they posted on social media, I didn't know this. I just saw this recently. He said that his recruiter was actually applauding him and has never seen someone or heard someone ask so many questions. And my husband asks a lot of questions. I mean, you should have seen him ask the questions to the dealer when we bought our last car. I was like, honey, let's go. And he's like, well, I just need to know that I know that I know. Like he really wants to get all the details as much as possible. And with the military, the reason why he didn't tell me till a month after is he wanted to make sure and really go through his own emotions first. Do I really want to do this? What are the benefits? What's my plan? So he didn't just go into something and it just, right? And is it going to work? Is it not? Now, no one ever knows if it will work, but he did his due diligence. So by the time he sat me down and said, "Hey, I already went to the recruiter. Here's what this is." He mapped out the plan as far as his ascension ladder of starting in infantry, literally at the bottom in the army, and eventually his goal is the Rangers, being an Army Ranger. He wants to be in a prestigious elite leadership level to really serve our country at a deep level. And when he painted that picture on top of the security, the bonuses, the benefits, the VA loan. I mean, all of that. I saw light and life back in his eyes, where in his business, it felt like it was always fleeting. And it really got him to a point of how am I really going to be able to set my family up for success? And this was his pathway. And immediately when he casted the vision, lean in on this. This is huge. Anybody making any kind of decision, when you can really articulate the vision to your person as to why you want to make this move, especially something as drastic as this, you would hope and pray that their heart is settled enough and is connected with the Lord enough to hear what they are saying. And because of my relationship with the Lord, because me trusting my husband doesn't mean I have to feel great with all these butterflies and rainbows of what he's about to do. But when he casted the vision, I felt instantly the peace of the Lord. And I said, Lord, this must be you. There's no way my human nature would have this much peace on something this big. Now, let me put a pause on this right here. I shared with you in the beginning of this podcast that I had somebody that I dated. I call him my almost ex fiance. When we dated, he was already in the army. Then he went through the Ranger program, and all we had were letters, right? All we had were letters. I remember when we went back to my hometown and he asked my parents for permission to marry me. And basically, it blew up in our faces, blew up in our faces. And this guy, after everything that I had been through with him, when we first started dating, he had cancer. And then he went into remission. That was a miracle. That was huge in and of itself. Then he went into the Ranger program, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is going to be a whole nother life. Okay, I guess we're doing this. And then after he got back, it kind of blew up in my face because I call her side chick of the year. The girl that he was cheating on me with, which she had no idea I even existed, said, "Hey, are you such and such's girlfriend?" I said, "Yes." She's like, "I am so sorry to tell you this." And then told me what they've been doing. And I was like, wow, are you kidding me? When I when I addressed it with him, he lied about it and then came clean. And I was so broken at the time that I said, "Will you take me back?" I was so broken at the time. I said, "Will you take me back? I can't do this without you." And then he said no. And then I realized in that moment how low I really got and how much I was just crushed by how could somebody do this to me, right? So all of that right there, all of those feelings of how I felt so bad about myself and the lack of worthiness of somebody doing that to me after everything I had been through with them. Imagine your now husband's like, "Hey, I want to go down the same path." And it's like, absolutely not. So I had to check myself. I had to check myself into, hey, we get to heal in this area because Johnny is not that person from your past. He is not that person. And once I really moved through that, which was pretty quickly, I just had to give it to the Lord and just release. It's not the same. Not the same person, not the same situation, not the same at all. And when I did that, the peace that surpasses literally all understanding, when you know what that feels like, you will do anything to keep it, to get it. You will get so much better at obedience and surrender because you want that peace. You can't buy that peace. There is no price other than it's worth everything. It is worth absolutely everything. And it may bring some hardships in your life. Like we are promised that there will be hard times. We are promised that. Do not be afraid. Do not fear. Earlier, before I started recording this, the Lord gave me this phrase of his heart and his hand will move at the depth of your faith, not your worry. At the depth of your faith. His heart will be moved by your faith, not your worry. And yet, I remember, and I had to repent for this so many times, where I was worried so much and was like, this has to push through, this has to push through. God's not going to meet me there. I'm trying to almost convince him of like, okay, I'm worrying so much and I care about this so much. You should too. I need this thing. But that's not how he moves. He moves at your faith. So all of the just surrendering, obedience, healing that I've done up until this point, when my husband brought this big picture to me, I said, wow, okay, I guess we are doing this. And the old me, many of you may resonate with this, would love to have a long plan, 5-year plan, 1-year plan, 3-year plan, 10-year plan, you name it. Of here's what we're going to do. But now we are quite literally property of the United States of America. And it's funny to me because I got into entrepreneurship to really have that freedom, time freedom. And my husband probably has like the exact opposite now. And because he and I are married, I am in that with him. And it's one of those where I'm like, okay, Lord, wherever you lead, we will go. And I don't even want to know the future. You know why? I have come to learn this. I don't want to know what's coming up next. I don't want to know the whole plan. I can hardly even plan into the end of the month, let alone into the end of the year, a couple years from now. I do have visions and I now partner with the Lord, but I don't put a time limit on it. I said, Lord, let's go, let's get it. What do you have next? And many times I have a vision of here's what I'm looking for, but the Lord's like, I need order. I need order. And this needs to be in order. We need to deal with this first so this can build, this can be a foundation, and then you can be able to expand and we can do it together. Things crumble when you do it alone. Things crumble when you do it alone. You feel that pressure and everything on yourself when you do it alone. And I knew becoming an army wife, there was no way at all that I was going to do it alone and that I was going to do it how I've always done. And what does that look like? Stuff my feelings down, throw myself into work, keep myself so busy that I was just numb to having the time pass until my husband came back or when the next phone call would be. Because when he told me that he enlisted, then, or when he told me he had that conversation, then when he enlisted and it became real, documentation, it's official. It was like, wow, you just kind of start hearing the tick, tick, tick of the time counting down. And it was not easy. It was not easy, but I got to check my emotions and my feelings of how am I really feeling? Let's address that. I'll be 100% honest with each and every one of you. I have cried more times in the last couple months than I have probably in my entire life because I said, Lord, if I am doing this with you, because I'm not doing it without you, I'm going to be real and honest with my emotions. I am known for being strong, having it all together, being the one people can lean on. And that is great. But I've also learned this. One of the strongest people in the room is the one that is not afraid to show their emotions, to be real with where they're at. So when I dropped Johnny off at the airport, the day that he flew out, even before the night before, it was just like a faucet. I couldn't hold it in. And army wives will tell you, do everything that you can to hold in your emotions to be strong for them. This is a lot on them. And I did my best. But when it came, it came. And there was nothing I could do about it. I would try to go to the other room and whatnot, but I'd be around him and I would just melt. And I would reassure him, I will be fine. There's just a lot that's processing right now. And I don't even know exactly what all these tears are for, but I'm allowing them to come out instead of build up in a place where they were never meant to build up. God made us emotional beings. He made us to feel. Feeling shows and it signifies here's where we are really at. It's only when we let our feelings lead us and when we stay there too long, that's where it gets dangerous. And I knew I've done that before and it never led me anywhere prosperous. Truthfully, it only led me into places where it was just harder. It was just harder. And it blocked God out because I didn't want to feel. I grew up in a family where we didn't want to talk about our feelings. We didn't want to go there. And the older I get, the more I kind of poke the bear at certain family events because I'm like, are we really even living if we're not talking about things that are real? If I can only skate along the surface level for so long till I'm like, I'm out. And I have very big, bold boundaries about that. I'm like, I can't do that. I can't. It's literally suffocating to me. So I know people that are emotional, and when they are emotional, it makes others uncomfortable. I know that. It used to make me super uncomfortable. I used to run away from it. And now it's like, you know what? We get to be in it with them. It doesn't mean we have to have the right thing to say or do or anything. It's just being and knowing that they're there. And the amount of outpouring of love, support, wow. People saying, I have a family member or a bodyguard or my husband or somebody that's high ranking. And if you ever need anything, any kind of connection, let me know. I will get you plugged right in. What? I mean, the amount of times I've heard that is almost like mind boggling of we're so connected. And that's a whole nother topic of like networking and just getting to know people, the right people, not just anybody, but the right people and how people are really for you. I have seen from complete strangers so much gratitude. And we have just started this journey. He's only in training, but they're already thanking both of us. I have seen trolls on the internet that have said some very atrocious things, but we're not going to get them airtime. God is just revealing the people that are broken that want to try to like shoot arrows at you. And you just get to be like, wow, God bless you. And I'm pray for your soul because that is dark. And then I actually go and report their account saying this is harmful language and hope they get kicked off. Nobody has time for some of the stuff that these people are saying because it's literally harassment and violence. Nope, not coming. Don't come to me with that. Just being honest. You can do it. Do it. Like if people are doing that to you, like that is not okay for people to say. And if you don't agree, like move on. Go to the next. So, as we're rounding off this podcast, I wanted to share this important key piece. And I've shared this across social media before. And I feel like this is a message that will be really pressed in for a long time. My husband is going into training and eventually, at some point, going off to war. So, he is training for war, but so am I. I am also a warrior. I'm also training for war in the spirit for my husband, for our future family, for my business, for my calling, for everything that God has put in my hands to steward. So these 4.5 months, as I'm recording this, being alone with the Lord, I am asking, Lord, blow my mind, have your way. We will never get this time back ever again. I am so grateful that at this point, I don't have kids. I don't have a dog. I don't have other responsibilities outside of just managing our home, my business, and myself, really, until my husband comes back. But even then, I know I don't have to manage him either. But it's so different when you are completely alone and your person is not in the house and is not around and you don't have access to them. And instead of me, oh, X on the calendar, another day gone. When are you coming home? That was my first mindset for a couple of days of like, oh my gosh, this is going to be so hard. And then I quickly said, no, Lord, we're not doing that. That is not what you're calling me to do. I want to go deeper with you. I want you to blow my mind. I want you to take this and just armor me up in new ways because I am your warrior in the spirit. I'm your warrior in the marketplace. I'm your warrior for my family. The family Johnny and I will start when he returns and my extended family. I am your warrior. I know that I have been born and bred for that. I am your disciple. I know things are going to come. I know the warfare that my husband and I have experienced is because the mantle that we carry. And with that, with the mantle, that is a big reason why he chose now to go into the military at 31 years of age is he knew God was calling him for years, but he ignored it. And when he pressed into that, I saw his life light up again, light in his eyes, just as new zeal for life. The minute he touched down in Georgia after flying over there, we got on like a quick 2-minute call and he was already having the time of his life. Now, not every day will probably be the time of his life, right? But he's enjoying the brotherhood and just being able to be trained up for something so much bigger than him. It's given him purpose. Purpose. What's also incredible is I'll never forget, he sent us this video on the bus going to the airport, from the airport to the base. And the video, he like put it up and you got to see, some of the other people in the bus. And they're all just young men, young men. And my husband and I talked about this extensively. He knows that this is his mission field, to be the light in a dark place, to show maturity spiritually, personally, even professionally. Because every single person I saw in that video looked like they were like 18 to 20 max. And my husband, at least being a decade plus older than most of them. And believe it or not, that's not too old to be in the military. They actually love the fact of older people coming in with their experience and they're not just brand new right out of high school or maybe a year or two in college. Not that they don't want those men and women too, but there's a difference in maturity. And Johnny is so excited. I've never seen him more excited to step into this. And as a wife, that excites me. He's not stepping into something reluctantly of like, oh, I have to do this. This is the only option. Like he could have found something else. But when God calls you, there is nothing else. There's nothing else. And he ran from that for a number of years. And then when he finally pressed in, and it took us moving away from everyone that we knew, coming out here for a completely different reason. And then the Lord saying, here's where I'm planting you, Jonathan Michael Gomez, which means here's where I'm planting you, Molly Jean Gomez. And you never know. You never know what your spouse's calling may be. You never know what they will be stepping into. But what you do get to have the opportunity to do is support them wholeheartedly. I don't know what will happen. I don't know when he'll get deployed. I don't know what it will take. And then eventually he wants to get into the Ranger program. So what I do know in Ranger Special Forces, there will be missions that he will go on that I won't have any contact for a number of days, months, what have you, however long the mission is, right? And you might get 24 hours notice, hey, pack your bags, we're leaving. Like it is a whole new life, especially being in the season I am. I cannot wait to start a family and expand that part of our legacy. And it will happen. But I want you to hear the peace that is in my voice. It doesn't mean I don't have tears that fall at night. It doesn't mean that I don't have moments of like, this is really hard. But I said, Lord, have your way. When he wants the emotions to flow out and let's get real, I'm sure they will come up and we let it flow. I'm not holding it back. When he's asking me to take that next step or to pray for this person or go do something or just to be still and rest, we get to do that. The day I dropped Johnny off at the airport, when he went off to basic training, I took the entire day to rest. And that was challenging for somebody like me. I didn't answer my phone. I just was to myself. And normally the old me would throw myself into work, throw myself into something, let's get distracted. And so many people are like, basically, what are you going to focus on? What are you going to distract yourself with? And why he's gone. I don't want to distract myself at all. If anything, I'm coming against distractions. I'm stepping into how do I really feel? But more importantly, where does God want to lead me in this season? What does he want to show me? And I'm not trying to over spiritualize it. I'm not. That is just my focus because if I focus on anything else, I'll get sucked into where the world's at in a dark hole, dark place. I've had some of those thoughts come up. Why me? Like, Lord, you've already made our life challenging enough. Like, I want to start a family. Like, why, Lord? Like, why? Out of all the things, why now? Why? But I don't want to whine in my why. I want to press in and show me the bigger picture. Show me the bigger picture. Perspective is everything. I'll never forget some of the women that I know. They've either had, I think actually most of them, I think their husbands have been some form high ranking in the military of different branches, whether it's Air Force, Ranger, you name it. And they told me this, and I've heard this time and time again. It can be a really dark place for spouses. It can be really challenging, really hard, but they need somebody like you, somebody who thinks differently, somebody who lets the Lord lead at all angles. At least I do that as much as I can. I bring him into everything. I don't just create a plan, then slap the Lord on it and say, hey, Lord, consult me. It's let's do this together. Let's come together. Let's do this together. All of it. All of it. I don't want him out of it. I don't want to carry anything else on my own ever again. I really don't. So when these ladies told me it's a dark place, I said, oh, okay. Like for the spouses too. Okay, Lord, so this might be my new mission field wherever we move. Once my husband comes back from basic training, which will be towards the end of summer, mid August, I believe, mid August 2026, we will be moving. And as of right now, I have no idea where we're moving. And it's crazy to me because we love it here in Las Vegas. Las Vegas is home for us. Like we love it here. We'll end up probably buying property here at some point because it is such a great place when you really see what the people are like and you get plugged into the right places, the right places. But the Lord has different plans. He has different plans. And we get to submit to those plans. Our small minds will think, well, I don't have this set up and I don't have this and I don't have this. I don't have this. Like I won't have family around, right? Like I won't have certain things that normal people will stay stuck in their environment because of those cultural norms, comfortability, accessibility. It's a little bit easier, right? And I get it. Like let's take, sometimes we want to take that easier route because life is already hard. Why make it harder? Well, we are not promised an easy life. We are not promised the easy road. We are promised, actually, promised and shown the narrow road, which will always be more challenging than the wide road that anybody could go down, where people settle, where they get comfortable. On a narrow road, you're not comfortable at all. You're challenged. You think critically or creatively or just in different ways. You are led in different ways. On the wide road, you don't need to really think at all. You just go with the motions, look around, see what everybody else is doing. I'm so glad that I veered away from the wide road a long time ago. And now we're on an even skinnier road, being in the military now, and me being an Army wife. So God bless the USA. God bless every single man, woman, family member that is impacted by a family member that has been in the service. It is such a selfless thing that people do to give their life for their country. Doesn't mean they will die for it, but they could. And I'm so grateful that being on this journey, no matter what happens with Johnny, God gets to use him in all the ways. And as a wife, I couldn't be more proud and honored. So this is my journey as an Army wife in the very beginning, much more to come. But for anybody that has a friend, family member, and their spouse just went into the military, share this with them. They need to hear it. They need to hear there's more perspectives and getting plugged into the right places. And you'll see in the show notes, I have a discipleship channel called Sanctified, where you can really get fed and get the real raw meat of the word for free. Just fill yourself up in the right environments. So thank you for watching and stay tuned. Much more to come on this journey.